prefacing, let me say that, we have had a great pleasure to welcome India's finance minister. That was, before the current minister, Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman, Shri Arun Jaitley. And he was a great friend of Columbia and of Raj Center subsequently. He, in fact, also inaugurated the Raj Center. That was when Professor Bhagwati was the director of Raj Center. He was the founding director. I was gone at the time to work with Prime Minister Modi at the Niti Aayog. He was always gracious whenever he came to New York. He found time to visit here and speak. So in the last, several years, he spoke here 4 or 5 times and also launched the Raj Center in 2015. I had the privilege to meet Mr. Jaitley last during my visit in July. That was about a month before he passed away. And when I was partying, he said, I might, for the treatment, come to New York at the end of the year. And so, sharing his optimism, I sort of responded by saying that, we hope we can, at the time, also host you at Columbia. So that hope was not to be, but I think through our honorable minister, that hope is realized today in a different form. But I am sure, as an admirer of Mr. Jaitley, and I read, Madam Minister, your tribute to the Finance Minister, Mr. Jaitley, and he was as much a mentor to you as well. So I'm really pleased. I'm very, very happy that through you we have that hope fulfilled today, and my heartfelt thanks to you for being here today, and you have kept the kind of convention or tradition that Mr. Jaitley had, that he came and spoke here, and we hope that in the future also, as and when you pass through New York, you would come to speak here. Let me now do the real task of today, which is to introduce our minister. A finance minister of a country like India really doesn't need an introduction. That is her introduction, but I can't let the opportunity really pass like that. So Ms. Sitharaman was born and grew up in Tamil Nadu. She did her schooling there. Then she did a bachelor's degree at Sita Lakshmi Ramaswamy College in Tiruchirappalli. Then she went on to do her master's at the Jawaharlal Nehru University, where she also wrote her doctoral thesis under Krishna Bharadwaj. After that, she went off to London, where she worked with Price Waterhouse, but also the BBC World Service. After returning to India, I think, and that's where it seems to me that you really more or less came into public life, directly or indirectly, but the minister founded the Center for Policy Studies in Hyderabad. That was in 1992. That was followed by her establishing a school called Pranav, which won the British Council's International School Award for 2007 to 10. By 2008, the minister was already a member of the executive council of the BJP. And 2010, she became the BJP's national spokesperson. And I think that's when we started really seeing you. You sparred all your rivals from the Congress and the UPA and so forth on the television. So we all got to see you at that time on the television. Then, of course, 2012, Madam Minister also ran the media campaign for the Gujarat elections of the then Chief Minister of Gujarat, Mr. Narendra Modi. And in 2014, of course, she played a key role in the campaign for the national parliamentary elections. And after the elections, she joined in as the Commerce and Industry Minister. Soon, 3 years later, in 2017, she became the first full-time Defense Minister of India. And then, of course, we had that major election in 2019, where Prime Minister Modi returned with a landslide victory. I predicted it. Wrote, wrote about it actually in April 4, 2014, 2019 Times of India. So it's on the record. It's not like I just told Professor Bhagwati privately and then I'm making the claim. I wrote it. I wrote it very clearly publicly that he will repeat his. Sorry. I did that also, of course, of course. But in any case, so since then, Ms. Sitharaman became the India's finance minister. Probably you are the first first full-time woman finance minister also. So two records in a row. And let me just conclude by saying that I think a few weeks ago, the minister announced what I think is probably the boldest reform in last about 20 years. She slashed the corporate profit tax from an effective kind of rate, including cess and everything, of about 35% to then 25% for the existing companies, and to 17% for the new companies that are going to be set up. So today, India's corporate profit tax for the new companies is competitive with Singapore, equal, and relative to almost every other major country, it's lower tax rate. That in a country like India, where even if you breathe, it's contentious in the press, was truly a landmark reform. So with that, it is my great pleasure to invite Minister Sitharaman to address this audience. Thank you, ma'am.